The art of picking, harvesting lessons for life, and the three thieves that keep your harvest small. Harvesting is the hardest thing we do in a deep mulch garden. When I came up with the 4 pillars to explain the garden, and I could see similarities across business, across relationships, across life, picking is the hardest thing that we do because we have some thieves of our time. We're going to look at that. And picking is a paradox. We pick too soon. Things are hard, they're sour, they're not ripe. We wait too long, they can rot on the vine. And that's just like business. You can launch too soon, way before it's ready. You can wait too long and miss the market. And in a relationship, you don't want to rush intimacy, but then again, you don't want to wait too long. They'll lose interest. And in life, do you take the first job that comes along? You buy the first house that comes along? Or do you wait and get stuck? And that's the harvest paradox right there. You want to get the sweet spot. You want to get them just perfect. If you wait too long, they get tough, they rot on the vine. But if you come too soon, they're too small. I mean, it'll do. You can still eat that. And these things grow 2 inches a day, so trying to hit that sweet spot, that's one of the reasons harvesting is the hardest work you ever do in a garden. And that's where those 3 thieves come in. You're either too eager, you pick too soon. I couldn't have been, 7 or 8 years old, I guess. The neighborhood boys, they saw the neighbor's tree, and it was just loaded with fruit. And we were going to sneak in and we were going to get us some of that. So we got the courage up one day, and we snuck in there, and there was some low-hanging fruit, so we grabbed it, and we scurried off. When we got to where we thought was a safe spot, bit into that, and to this day, I can still feel the muscle in my cheek when it seized up. It was so sour, my entire mouth locked up, my eyes closed, and that taught me a really good lesson about being too eager. And that's what I'm talking about, the 3 thieves. You're either too eager, which means you pick too soon, or you're too afraid, you don't pick soon enough. I had to been, maybe 13 years old, and this was back at Grandpa's place, the man that taught me how to hate a garden. He'd put in some peach trees in Wyoming, and he got a little harvest coming on. And I was just wandering around, and I stumbled upon these trees. I'm like, these are new. Look at that. There's a peach. Turned out there was about a half a dozen, and he was waiting for them to get ripe. And being a 13-year-old boy, I pulled one off, and I bit into it, and it was like sugar. That evening, Grandpa comes storming into the house. Who ate all my peaches? Well, he was trying to be a perfectionist, and he waited too long. If you look around this garden, I don't think I have to worry about being a perfectionist. I try to get them as close to ripe, try to get in that sweet spot, and try to ignore those thieves. Same thing out in the garden. If you wait too long, you got birds, you got bugs, you got teenage boys. Get a sudden rainstorm, your tomatoes will swell up and split. Same thing with your cantaloupe and your watermelon. I'm talking about tomatoes, you're either on Team Blush or you're on Team Vine Ripe. And here's a bonus mistake. Not taking your tomatoes as soon as they start turning colors. As soon as they break or start turning colors, they've stopped taking nutrients from the plant. So go ahead and bring them in the house. They'll ripen just fine on the countertop, and that encourages the vine to go ahead and set fruit up further on the vine. And I got so much guff from the people that are on Team Vine Ripe, I actually went and did some research. And there's valid scientific studies that say you can't tell the difference if you ripen them on the counter after they've gone to blush. There's an ethylene gas that happens that starts ripening fruit, and once that kicks in, they're not taking anything else from the plant. And if you leave them out in your garden to get that nice, beautiful red, you run a lot of risk of losing that harvest. And to find that sweet spot, this is how I take the tomatoes. And honestly, I can't tell the difference if I leave them out a little longer. Some people may be a little more discerning, but I've done the scientific research, and once that ethylene gas kicks in, it's going to go ahead and ripen on the counter. Just like when you get bananas from the store, they'll ripen on the counter just fine. Without intention, the garden, just like life, is a game of chance. You can affect the outcome just like we did here. When I planted this, I did it with intention. I saw that harvest in my mind before I put the seeds in the ground. But I didn't see this much, and that brings up another problem: the bumper harvest. What do when you get more than you can eat? When you get more than you can share? When you get more than you can put up? Unfortunately, a little bit of it falls out of your hand and it goes back into the mulch. But it's not wasted. It goes back in to feed that soil for the next go-round. We also save some seeds for the succession plant or for next year. When you get a bumper crop like this in business, you reinvest in that business. You pay dividends to your shareholders. You give bonuses to your workers. And just like saving seeds for the next go-round, you use that money to grow. If you get a bumper harvest, you get a wonderful relationship. You're never going to waste that. It does go back into the mulch, but that parallel with people, that mulch is what makes you a better person. And a bumper harvest, whether it's in the garden, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in a business, the proceeds continue to feed it. As long as you approach everything with intention, your outcome's going to be successful. And the cycle will continue. You build that life in the soil, you build the life in you. You plant seeds, you protect what you planted, and then you pick. You pick, and you pick. And you can do this too. They're just everywhere. And just like that, my bowl is full. And I do want to stress, I can't grow anything. I just tend this garden, but I do it with intention. I pile up the mulch just like I do for myself. I pull that mulch back and I plant seeds just like I do for myself. We protect what we have, and then we sit back and we wait, and this is what we get. And then on top of that, you've got the physical labor involved. Look at this sweet potato patch and how big it's gotten. Up with the 4 pillars to explain a garden. Harvest, it is the last, but it could be the first, because we're going to continue to succession plant. We still have a couple, 3 weeks before we can expect a frost. I want to let the tubers get as big as they can, which is just going to make the work that much more. But the reward is worth it. You can do this too. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.